Hey folks, I'm in my kitchen and I got a brand new method to show you for how to make creamed honey. I've taught a lot of people how to do this through my videos. I've answered thousands of questions and hundreds of phone calls, but I got a better way. So hang around and let me show you the new Alabama hot sauce way to make creamed honey. Hey folks, this is Phil from Alabama Hot Sauce. That's alabamahotsauce.com on the web. I'm in the kitchen today to show you something I think is going to be quite interesting. I have been over the last couple of years doing a tremendous amount of research on how to make creamed honey. I got interested in that when I first started selling hot honey, and I actually tasted some of this at a friend's house, and I thought, I have to have this. So I started doing research and I stumbled upon the Dyce Method patent, which apparently everybody else that has anything to do with honey knew about, but I didn't. But I stumbled on that patent and I started making creamed honey using the Dyce Method. Now, the Dyce Method is a perfect method. It involves inputting fresh creamed honey into runny honey and mixing it so that all the honey crystallizes together. One of the difficulties with that process is that to do it, you first have to have some crystallized honey that you can turn into creamed honey seed to pour it in your honey. And it is a little bit sloppy. It's a little bit messy. A lot of people have asked me, is there an easier way? So I started doing research and I have now migrated into what I think is a slightly easier way. Remember, to make cream honey, the secret is we have to seed the runny honey with honey particles that are crystallized so small that they feel like lotion in your mouth. You don't sense any grittiness, any type of texture. It's just smooth, smooth, smooth. Now, what I have decided to do is try to work on an easier method to produce, package, and sell the seed to people so that making cream honey is easier. And I've come up with a product that I'm calling creamed honey starter seed or creamed honey seed powder. Now, what this stuff is it is simply pure runny local Alabama honey that has been dried and dehydrated using a couple of methods. Now, I'm not the first person to ever come up with the idea of using a powder as a seed for cream honey. It's been done by many people before. As a matter of fact, I believe there's maybe one or two companies that actually sell a seed powder. But I think mine is a little different. First, most seed powders that are on the market, and I think there's two of them, are really nothing but confectioner's sugar. They're pure sucrose that are ground down as small as they can possibly grind them. Usually 4 or 10 grind is about as low as you'll find with confectioner's honey. And they just put it in the honey and it will in fact produce cream honey. Now the problem is that confectioner's honey is pure sucrose. And as we all know, if you add pure sucrose into honey, you've completely adulterated it, especially if you add 10 or 12% into the honey. So I wanted to come up with something that still resulted in 100% pure honey. And the result was this dried cream seed honey. I started with, like I said, pure Alabama honey. I dried it using several different methods. Then I granulated it in a chocolate melanger. And I'll try to get a picture and stick up here and show you guys what a chocolate melanger is in case you've never seen one. But it's a cool little device. We have a very expensive one here in our kitchen. Hadn't been used in 10 years, and I've repurposed it for several things that involve grinding products. But anyway, I have this stuff available for sale. I'll put links in the bottom. And you simply introduce this to your honey, you mix it in your mixer, and the result is creamed honey. Now, I'm going to show you today how to use this powder. I've got in front of me my little KitchenAid mini mixer. Many of you may have never seen one of these. A few people buy them. This is called a KitchenAid Mini. A KitchenAid Mini has a little 3-quart bowl that goes on it. It's much smaller. It's much lighter weight. Still pretty high horsepower. Perfect for people who want to cook only for 1 or 2 or 3 people. It's perfect for people that want to pick it up and hide it away. It's about half the weight of a regular KitchenAid. But I'm going to use this today for my demonstration. So I'm going to make what I call a half a mixer full of honey, creamed honey. Now, I've got in front of me here 2 containers that each contain 3 pounds of pure Alabama lightly filtered honey. The honey has to be filtered. Otherwise, if there's large particles left in it, it will crystallize into a very messy, large creamed honey. We want this to be more filtered than we would normally treat our regular honey. So I got 2 of these for a total of 6 pounds. And in addition, I've got a half a package of my Alabama hot sauce creamed honey seed powder. The reason I've done that, a standard mixer, a standard KitchenAid mixer, and I have many of them. I'll show you a picture of my line of mixers somewhere in this video. Holds 12 pounds of honey. That makes it perfect for a full package of this, which produces 13 pounds of finished cream honey. Perfectly fills up a dozen of your little 9-ounce mason jars so you can keep honey yourself and give some to friends. But because I'm working with the little KitchenAid Mini, I'm dealing with a half a package. So I went ahead and drew that half a package up. Now I take the first container here of honey and I'm going to pour it in my bowl. The good reason why I divide this honey up into 2 batches, even though I'm going to mix it all together in 1 batch. Oh, that honey tastes so good. Now, if I poured my second container of honey in here, the level of the bowl would come up pretty high. This honey is dried and ground to a 14x grind. Believe me, if I poured this on the table and just blew once, it would all disappear in a fog. If I were to put this honey in here, or this seed honey with this bowl full, when I start to mix it, it's just going to sling this stuff everywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first put half of my honey, which was 3 pounds, and I'm going to put it in the bowl, and you see it floats to the top. Then I'm going to log it down. I'm going to take my flat stirrer, put it on the mixer, and lightly stir. Now what's happening, I got the level low enough that I don't have a problem where the stuff is just spraying all out in the top. I'm going to let this run for just a minute. I think I got some overhead pictures you can see. You can see that this powdered honey is getting mixed in with the runny honey. By the way, the powdered honey was brown just like honey until it got down to about an 8x grind, and then it started to turn white. And by the time I got it to a 14x grind, it was absolutely pure white. So anyway, I'm mixing it up. Now I'm going to turn it up just a touch and make sure this stuff is mixed in good. I'm only interested in getting it mixed enough so it can't throw it around the room. So I'll lift her up here. You can already see we got lots of good mixing going on in there. And then I'm going to add the other 3 pounds of this honey. All right. Now we're going to lower our machine, lock it down, and turn it on. I have it right now on the number 2 setting on the mixer. Mixing cream honey is purely an exercise of mechanics. What we're doing is we're mixing and distributing those little tiny particles of that dry honey seed throughout this honey. We're going to mix and mix and mix till we know it's very, very well distributed. They don't mix very fast because we don't want to introduce any heat into the honey. Heat would melt any crystals that form. So we mix relatively slow. We don't want to use like an egg beater type attachment because that would introduce too much air. Air does not help you, by the way, in cream honey. When you see people's commercial cream honey for sale and it's all white, it's because it's full of air, plain and simple. Mine is brown, just like the color of honey, because number one, I don't mix it fast, and I also vacuum my jars before they're sealed. So any air that gets in the honey, I remove it. Air is always bad in food. I've never seen food that air was good for unless it was cotton candy. So anyway, we're mixing, and this stuff's getting mixed up good. I'll try to put some pictures of the overhead on there. I will turn it up just a touch. This stuff is looking nice and sticky. I reach in here and look at there. We already see it's starting to thicken up. That's a good thing. That's what we like to see. Of course, you're working with honey. Always keep your damp sanitation cloth handy because you're going to need it. Now, I'm going to cut this off and let's talk a minute about what the setting process is for cream honey. You can see that it's not real smooth. It's got air bubbles in it. It's still got chunks in it. Matter of fact, I'm just going to leave it down and let it run. Setting this cream honey, in other words, taking this gooey mixture and turning it into a spreadable, smooth, solid, wonderful treatment for biscuits and chicken and things like that, is all about mixing, and crystallizing. The best way to make this honey is in this first mix, I'm going to mix it for 1 hour, okay? After mixing it for 1 hour, I'm then going to turn the machine off. I'm going to let it sit for an hour or two. I'm then going to come back to the machine, I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to run it 30 minutes. After it runs 30 minutes, I'm going to cut it off, let it sit for about an hour. And if you start this in the morning, over the course of a day, from the time you start it to the time you go to bed, if you turn this thing on and let it run for an hour, 4 or 5 different times, let it rest for an hour, at the end of the day, you will have wonderful, wonderful looking cream honey. You can just leave it sit in your mixing bowl, cover it over with a towel, get up the next morning, turn it on and let it mix for about another hour, and then pour it out in your jars and cap them. Once you do that, all you have to do is put it in a relatively cool area. Cream honey loves from 55 degrees to 65 degrees. If you got a spot like that, you put it up, let it sit for 5 or 6 days, and when you open it, you'll have this wonderful, beautiful, beautiful cream honey. Now, when I actually make it here, I do something slightly different. Remember, the more you mix this stuff, the more it homogenizes inside that honey, the more these crystals spread around. When you let it rest, what you're doing is you're allowing the crystals to set and crystallize. You're allowing new crystal to form. You go through that for an hour, hour and a half in the setting period. You turn it back on and you redistribute crystals. Common sense would tell you the more times you do that, for instance, if you could follow that routine around the clock for 4 days, imagine how much smoother, more consistent your honey would be. And you actually can. I have a little device that I bought from Amazon. I think this thing was $24. Everybody ought to have some at home anyway. And it's a timer where you can set almost any time and arrangement you want. With this thing, you can click a button and you say, I want this to run for 60 seconds. I then want it to be off for 120 seconds, 4 minutes, 4 hours. You can set any of those. You can say, I want it to repeat that cycle. I want it to repeat that cycle until it gets dark. And I want to start over again when it gets light. This is so easy to program. And what you can do is, instead of plugging your mixer into the wall, you plug this in the wall, plug your mixer into this, turn it on, and it does that cycle all by itself. Now, what I actually set them to do is I set my mixers to run for 45 minutes and then off for 2 hours, 24 hours a day, and I run them for 96 hours. So I run them for 4 days. Every 2 hours, this machine comes on and runs for 45 minutes. So every 2 hours, we're remixing the crystals. At the end of that remixing, we're giving 2 hours for the crystals to set and form. And the result is, when you finish with that, absolutely beautiful, amazing creamed honey. Folks, look at this. This stuff is absolutely beautiful. Like many liquids, creamed honey takes on the fluid characteristics based on temperature. This honey's been sitting out at about 74 degrees in this kitchen. It's a little thinner than it is typically. My jar I keep setting at home. We keep our house kind of cool. It's about 69 degrees. Ours is a little stiffer, maybe like peanut butter. But the most interesting thing about this honey is that when you make creamed honey for the first time, you will prove a rule that I've learned to be the fact from a famous French, now U.S. chef, Chef Jean-Pierre. Chef Jean-Pierre says, texture is the gateway to taste. And we all know what pure runny honey tastes like. It's absolutely wonderful. It tastes sweet. It tastes sticky. It's a great taste. However, when you take creamed honey, which is exactly the same thing, just in a different form, the taste goes to that of almost marshmallows or cotton candy. And the sticky goes away and you get a smoothness. So the way your body senses this 100% pure honey from the way it senses the 100% pure honey we start with is totally different, because texture facilitates it as the gateway to taste. All right, folks, I will run this. This, by the way, came from a batch of this I ran yesterday. Just the same way I did it. I only turned it on and off for one day like you'd make it at home. I'm going to run this for about an hour. I'm going to cut it off for a little while. I'm going to run it for another hour. At the end of the day today, it's early morning. At the end of the day, I will put this in some jars and take it to my house and eat it, because I'm not doing it using my regular file process. I can't sell it. But I am starting, as soon as this videoing is done, I'm starting a new batch of creamed honey. It'll be a total of 48 pounds, that I will make today. It'll be finished on Tuesday. So Tuesday I will be jarring that up in these familiar little 10-ounce jars, and it'll be sold on my website. Folks, this is creamed honey. It's made with the Dyce method, but it's kind of a modified method. Instead of going to the trouble to produce creamed honey as a seed, we're using the Alabama creamed honey seed powder, okay? In addition, if you'll hang around to the end, everybody uses KitchenAid mixers. There's just not one better. I'll bet you that more than 30% of all the mixers in kitchens are KitchenAid mixers. And we all know how difficult it is to get the right and the correct quality tools for this mixture. Well, I don't normally hawk products, but I want you to hang around after this video. I'm going to put a little segment at the end that explains new implements that I've purchased for my KitchenAids that simply are game changers. These are not some cheesy stuff that you see some places. It's not a gimmick. These are game-changing, perfectly made stainless steel pieces of art. So hang around at the end if you're interested, and I'll show you these implements. I'll leave some links if you want to pick some up. Believe it or not, they're about half the price of the regular KitchenAid equipment, triple the quality, so I'm very excited about it. But anyway, folks, thank you for watching me. If you got any questions about this, leave me a comment. I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and ring the bell so YouTube will know that every time I post content, you'd like to see it. Again, this has been a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy this. This is my new way of making creamed honey. The stuff's going to be on my website for sale. You can buy it. You can make it so easy at home. Mr. Phil, thank you. I'll see you next time. You know, the sad part is people probably won't even hang around and watch the segment about the tools. That might be the most valuable thing in the whole video. I mean, let me tell you something. You saw these, didn't you? You can't even come close to beating this thing. This thing is made like a rock. I know they hadn't sold many of these things. Maybe KitchenAid will have a little blast of sales as a result of this video, because I've never seen anybody using one on any video on YouTube. Yeah, this stuff, this is the easy way to do it. This stuff will sell. Yeah, that's going to take the rest of the day. We're going to do, we're going to now make jalapeno mustard. Yeah, let's get everything ready for that. Yep, jalapeno mustard. I do not normally promote equipment. Now, I do make some videos explaining how some equipment I use works in the production of hot sauce in my products. But as far as just promoting equipment, that's not my thing. But I have recently started using something that's so extraordinary, I thought I had to bring it to you. I use in my business, and we use at home, the famous KitchenAid stand mixers. There's millions of them in the country. Vast majority of the people that use a mixer have one of them. And it is a fine, fine machine. However, the one place that KitchenAid really misses the grade is in the quality of the implements that come with this device, okay? And I have found some new ones that I personally think are so significant that I'll introduce them to you. Maybe they've been around for 100 years, I didn't know it, but I've just recently in the last 30 days started using them, and I thought I would tell you about them. Now, what I've got up here in front of me is I've got a KitchenAid Artisan Mini. I don't know if all of you even know this exists. This is a smaller KitchenAid that has only a 3-quart bowl. A lot of people use them at home because they're easy to stow away. They're a little bit lighter to handle. But anyway, I've got a 3-quart mini, and I've got this series of attachments that I purchased from Amazon, made by a company called Quality Art Product, QAP. And this company does not specialize in cooking implements or KitchenAid stuff. They specialize in useful art made out of stainless steel. And so 3 of the pieces they produce are the 3 implements for KitchenAid mixers. Now, the ones I've got here are for the KitchenAid Mini. I also have them for my regular 4.5, 5-quart KitchenAids. I've got one for my 9-quart lift KitchenAid. I mean, I just went nuts over these things for a lot of reasons. First, these are perfect, polished stainless steel implements. I mean, this is not some pot metal that's been plated and coated. These are polished stainless steel. The dough hooks are made into S-shaped fashion, so it can replace that ratchet C-hook thing that comes with these mixers. There's no paint on this. There's no coating on this, so you're not going to have any coating cracking off and falling down in your bowl. And it just goes on here so easy. And there we are. Now, one of the things I will tell you is when you adjust them for these implements, you adjust your mixer, the fit is perfect. The coverage is perfect. There's not a thing left in the bowl after using that. Now, the second implement, which might be maybe one of the most widely used implements, is the mixing paddle. Again, pure polished stainless steel. Wonderful device. I put it on, just twist it, and there we go. This thing is no coating again, so no chipping off. It's heavy built, so it's not going to bend. It's always going to stay the correct shape. Dishwasher safe. All of these things are. And there we go. But the one that impresses me the most is the whipping wand. You folks know how fragile the wands are that go with mixers. If you do much use of this device, you're going to be buying these things over and over and over. They're made out of little tiny wire. They come loose at the fitting, all kinds of dastardly things. But I want you to look at the way this one is built. This is very heavy-duty stainless steel wire. It's not going to bend. It's not going to distort. The wires come to a meeting right in the very middle, and this thing gives absolute, complete coverage. So it goes on just like so, and there we have you. One of the things I've noticed with this, and this is in my hot sauce business, I use this mixes with this attachment on it quite a bit in a couple of products I make. One of the things I notice is that since the wires are so stiff, all the power generated by the mixer is transferred into the stuff you're mixing, as opposed to wires bending and absorbing that power. So you're probably going to find, if you use this super high quality stainless steel polished mixer one, you're probably going to find that your mixing duties get done just a little bit faster. Anyway, folks, I want to show you this. I want to show you my little KitchenAid Artisan Mini and these wonderful QAP products that are available on Amazon. I will leave a link to these things in the comments. As a matter of fact, I'll leave the link in for these and for the 4.5 to 5 quart, which I think is probably what most people will be buying. Once again, folks, Mr. Phil, Alabama Hot Sauce. Thank you. I'll see you next time.